Ciao, hi, hola guys. I'm just checking I'm live on Facebook. Come on, Facebook. Might have to redo the title on Facebook then. Ciao, hi, hey, hola guys. How's it going? It's your boy MKS here, back in another video. Finally, a lot later than planned. It's already 11:30 here at night, and I was hoping to record by 8 o'clock. Then I thought 10 o'clock, then whatever. And it's obviously much later than that, so about 3.5 hours late. But anyway, finally back with part 2 of my plans for empowering the Black diaspora, especially African Americans, for Black History Month on Saturdays. I don't know why Facebook sometimes does this thing where it doesn't upload. By the way, I'm focusing on the YouTube screen instead of the Facebook screen this time, opposite to what I did last time. I'm hoping to do parts 3 and 4 as well tonight if I can, before I go to sleep. But yeah, I don't know why Facebook does that when it doesn't upload properly. I think it's because maybe, I don't know if it's because lots of people are online at that time, or it goes through some issues, tech issues or whatever. God knows why. If it's the AI system or whatever. Anyway, I'm back again. So yeah, these are pointers number 11 to 20. I had a few things I wanted to type up about Celtic, but because I sort of ran out of time because I didn't use my time as well as I like. I sort of went for a granddad nap and I overslept, and also I suppose I was I call it procrastinating, which I suppose it kind of is, but it's because I had too many different things. I guess more being distracted and checking out things online. There's loads of things I wanted to check out and things like that, but there's just not enough time. But anyway, these are pointers number 11 to 20. So here goes. So number 11, I'd love to find ways to put my ideas into action, and I'd love to interview. I talked in part 1 about, and in the past, about how I'd love to interview, in this case, African Americans. Maybe members of the Black diaspora generally, but especially African Americans, sometimes as individuals and sometimes as a group. Like, for instance, it could be Black, especially African American startups, SMEs and whatnot. It could be people on Zoom or using Zoom or different platforms. Sometimes it could be one-to-one, and sometimes it could be as a group or whatever. I'd love to interview people like Roland S. Martin, I think his name is, and to react to some of his videos on startups and react to videos generally on startups from YouTube or maybe on Facebook even. From Facebook even. So I record, by the way, on both platforms, and I'd love to quit TikTok, as I've said in the past, because I'd love to have as many platforms as possible. One, because I hope to have a record of what I talked about somewhere. So if it gets deleted from somewhere, hopefully I'll have at least a record somewhere of what I've discussed, so it won't go to waste, so to speak. A hoarder, I like to keep things up for. And the second thing is, because the second reason is, I suppose, when I think about it, it would also potentially have a wider audience, I guess. So that could be a knock-on effect. But as I was hoping to talk a lot and write a lot about Celtic, but I think I'll wait till March to talk more about that. But Celtic were behind and went on to win 2-1. That's pretty cool in a cup game. So I'm hoping, at least domestically, Celtic can do a lot better. I would rather go out in Europe and focus on domestic games. But anyway, I wanted to focus more on the Black empowerment, and especially for African Americans for Black History Month, especially as it's Black History Month in America. I won't go into too much detail on that now, but I hope to focus on like Saturdays and things like that. So things that begin with S as well, given my use of alliterations. But yeah, I'd love to interview people who founded sole traders, startups, starter-uppers, SMEs and entrepreneurs generally, and people from different backgrounds, like singers, songwriters, singer-songwriters, scientists, and all sorts of people, to empower them. Number 12, if you can think of any suggestions on how I can put my ideas into action and have got anything to do with African American or even general Black empowerment for February, especially ones that begin with S, or ones that or even general Black empowerment. But let's say I wonder if it would be different for different days, or would you just say just general empowerment, or anything else you want to comment? Please comment in the comments. I hope to think of motivational things for the Black diaspora. Number 13, I also hope to find out about this. Again, their stories, like their struggles and things like that. I think for Friday the 13th, which is coming up, next Friday will be the 13th, just under a week away, I would love to see African Americans making and creating like masks, Halloween masks, Friday the 13th masks, costumes, and scary, macabre and creepy things, scary, creepy and macabre things for Friday the 13th and for Halloween. So I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah, I'd love to know more about their struggles and how to address some of the issues. I suppose, as they say in Alcoholics Anonymous, the first step to solving a problem is to admit you have a problem and struggle to try and address it. So hopefully addressing some of the issues facing the Black community, especially again in America, or across the Americas even, and even across the diaspora, perhaps. And as ever, from a selfish point of view, I normally think of number 13. I suppose it's because even though I'm not that religious, I normally say, I think it comes from like 12 witches, and the 13th one being the devil, and I think of that as sort of being like selfish and things like that. So that's why I think of, as well as struggles and problems, challenges and whatnot, issues like that, and negative things, I also think of like selfish stuff, which I suppose some might say is negative itself as well. But yeah, maybe celebrating like horror and thriller writers, like script writers from the African American community, and seeing what, as I say, what scary, creepy, and macabre things they could create for Friday the 13th and Halloween. That could be stories which could be made into films and books and whatnot, so they can turn those into a positive, and addressing some of the things like the wealth gap as well, as another issue. But yeah, from a selfish point of view, I'd love to see Italian soccer improve relations with the Black diaspora, in this case including African Americans in February, preferably each year from this year, ideally. I suppose I do have these plans, but it'll probably take a lot longer than I hope. I'd love for them to happen like yesterday or yesteryear, so to speak. But I'd love for Italian soccer teams to benefit through, from a selfish point of view, as I say, from, I think I forgot to say that point, like the selfish thing, why I mentioned it. A bit dopey of me, but hopefully Italian soccer teams would benefit from increased investment and sponsorship from African Americans, and also from supporters clubs and academies, which hopefully will help the club's brand value, and also by having more supporters around the world, and also helping to remember your train of thought, sorry, and also helping to produce great players who can play for Italian soccer teams like Inter Milan, AC Milan, other Italian soccer teams, Roma and whatnot. But moving on to number 14, I'd love to see how African Americans and the Black diaspora for Black History Month, how they could be solvers of problems, problem solvers. Again, I'm trying to think of it like, make it alliterate as I put it. So solvers of problems, I think Saturday like things up like this. So seeing how they can solve problems in the world, whether that's climate change, global warming, tackling crime, poverty, and other things, and I think that'd be pretty cool. I mean, one way to make a lot of money, they say, is to solve problems. Not that I know a huge amount about that, but I do sometimes say like about how I'd love for African. I wouldn't know much about making money, but I guess as a dyslexic person, I'm quite creative, and we are good problem solvers. I guess generally speaking, many people say we're creative and we're problem solvers. Generally speaking, obviously, it affects people differently. But I suppose I could have said in point number 11, I always try and think of something different to cover, i.e. in this case, how to put my ideas into action, hopefully, rather than just talk about them when I do struggle. But yeah, people might say, what why don't you do different things to these videos? But I suppose these are all I have at the moment, my ideas and all that kind of thing. But yeah, I love for African Americans to find out about neurodivergent conditions like dyslexia, thinking differently, solving problems and whatnot. Um, so yeah, promoting awareness for African Americans around dyslexia and other forms of neurodiversity, neurodivergence or whatever. But yeah, solving problems and that kind of thing. And talking about Italian soccer, once again, I'm talking about Celtic, and maybe in part 3 and triple 4 I might talk about Celtic. I'm just hoping if I don't get around to it, maybe in March I'll talk more about Celtic along with Italian soccer. But moving on, number 15, I hope to support African Americans' ambitions, as I said again in part 1, and I've said before, but and again going on my silly use of alliterations, black ambition in terms of like helping them to become singers, songwriters, script writers, storytellers, create their own startups, SMEs, and things like that. And I'd love to, or grow into SMEs. I guess you start as a sole trader or a startup. Look at how they can network and grow quicker. I suppose I could have said point number 7, but I forgot, and I mentioned about Celtic, but I could have said what I often say, like about many hands make light work. Again, I'm not that religious, but I wonder if they could make life easier by working together. Many minds make light work, I guess you could say, as well. Yeah, in all sorts of different areas, and look at how to fund black-owned startups, especially in America. Excuse me. Especially for February each year, ideally. So again, I'd love for people to share ideas. And on that note, number 16, I hope you all get involved in the discussion on all the possible ways, and especially the best ways to support African Americans every February. Again, whether that's helping startups, SMEs, or people in business generally, or singers, songwriters, or script writers, or whatever, as I said, or whatever it might be, and helping them with their ambitions, and get involved in how to. I'd love for people to get involved in how to and discussing ideas on how to put those into practice, how I could interview African Americans. If any African Americans want to be interviewed, please let me know in the comments, either on Facebook, or YouTube, or both, preferably, as I normally say. It'd be great to hear from African Americans to say, like, we can put something together where we can discuss things in the easiest way possible and the best way possible. Most importantly, to get the end result, I guess, which is to support African Americans every February. So, again, whether I don't know if Discord is one some people use, I'd have to learn how to use that. I think that's mainly for gamers, but Zoom or whatever other platforms there are that people could record them and put them onto videos like this, which I hope would inspire African Americans, those interviews and all that kind of thing. And I hope these videos will inspire people to think through ideas and whatnot. Number 17. So hopefully by the end of this month, it'd be great to imagine if there could be more storytellers, story writers, book writers, people who write scripts for movies or films or whatever you want to call them, singers, songwriters, and all sorts of people. And another thing I almost forgot to actually is that I'd love to imagine if there's a way to make business easy and that kind of thing, talking about startups and SMEs and whatnot, and look at how to fund African Americans to start up their own business and build and grow them as well. How they can network with each other and learn from each other, and not jealously guard their ideas, as I put it, as I used to try and do most of the time, sometimes still do now. But they could share ideas with each other. Maybe look at how to copyright and like trust each other, how to invest together, and things like that. And again, help each other to go from like sole traders, or maybe even skip the sole trader thing and go straight to growing a business together. But they might start from startups. Again, I'm thinking of things with S because it's a Saturday, so startups, SMEs, and whatnot. For some reason, I think of like Saturdays. I think of startups on Saturdays. I guess it starts with SAT, which is similar letters to startups. Obviously, that's STAR, but yeah, it could be like stars who help startups and that kind of thing. Yeah, seeing what they could achieve with their imaginations in those areas, and even further areas, and whatever areas benefit African Americans the most. Number 18, again, I think there's a benefit in networking and working together, and I hope allies like myself and other POC minorities and whatnot can support African Americans every February, which I hope to come to more in part 3 and 4, all being well. Parts 3 and 4. And moving on, number 19, I'd love to support more African Americans to get into STEM, or even black people around the world to network together and get into STEM. So maybe like networking together. In February, for instance, people, including Black Britons and black people around the world, could support African Americans every February. And in October, it could be the other way, they could return the favour. So at least Black History Month here in Britain. But yeah, I'd love to normally get more black people into STEM. I'd love to look into how different companies could help that. I mean, I'm just an ideas person, I admit, but I'm not the best at putting it into action. But hopefully, by putting the ideas out there, people who are more skilled, talented, and qualified than me, which doesn't say much, but hopefully, people who are far more skilled, talented, and whatever than myself will be able to put those ideas into action. And number 20, also supporting African Americans of all ages. Normally, I prefer to support young people, but I think it'd be cool for young and old people to learn from each other. And I like to support anyone who's in need, all those in need. And on that note, I'm out, and peace and love.